The giant panda, one of the most recognizable animals on Earth with its iconic black and white fur pattern, projects an image of calm and quiet serenity amid its natural surroundings. Yet, behind this seemingly peaceful facade lies a fragile truth. Pandas are neither powerful hunters like tigers, nor highly adaptable survivors in changing environments. By the strict rules of nature, these ultra-specialized creatures should not exist at all, and their very survival now entirely depends on dedicated human intervention and protection efforts. This documentary explores the long evolutionary path that led them to this unique dependence on humans, the severe threats they face today, and the absolutely critical role humans play in ensuring their future survival. Millions of years ago, ancient panda ancestors were true omnivores, actively hunting small animals, scavenging meat from carcasses, and also consuming various plants to sustain themselves. However, as competition intensified from stronger predators like tigers and leopards, pandas adapted by shifting their diet almost entirely to bamboo, which was plentiful and ignored by others. This strategic dietary shift allowed them to survive in their niche, since bamboo was abundant and unwanted by competitors, but it imposed a permanent and heavy cost on their biology. Bamboo is notoriously low in essential nutrients, protein, and fat, forcing pandas to spend up to 14 hours a day eating massive quantities just to maintain their basic energy levels. Despite this highly specialized bamboo diet, their digestive system never fully adapted, still retaining the short gut, metabolism, and other limitations typical of a carnivorous ancestor. This profound inefficiency renders them extremely vulnerable. Even minor disruptions to their bamboo supply, such as flowering events or habitat loss, can quickly lead to starvation. Pandas once roamed vast expanses across much of southern China, but today, human expansion has severely restricted them to a few isolated mountain forests in regions like Sichuan. Roads, expanding farms, growing cities, and other infrastructure have fragmented their habitats into small, disconnected patches, leading to isolated populations and drastically limited breeding opportunities. This severe fragmentation reduces genetic diversity through inbreeding, making wild pandas unable to easily migrate across barriers or adapt to emerging environmental challenges. Without the establishment of protected wildlife corridors linking these fragments, these isolated populations face a silent and inevitable collapse, unable to sustain viable numbers. Panda reproduction is remarkably slow and challenging. Females are fertile for only 2 to 3 days each year, during a very narrow window in spring. Their cubs are born extremely small, about the size of a stick of butter, blind, hairless, and completely helpless, requiring constant maternal care for many months. In the wild, cub survival rates remain low due to predation and other risks, meaning every single cub death significantly hinders the species' painfully slow population recovery. For thousands of years, pandas thrived in remarkably stable environments featuring vast, uninterrupted bamboo forests and minimal pressure from expanding human populations. Evolution simply does not prepare animals for sudden and rapid environmental changes, and when humans dramatically altered the landscape through deforestation and development, pandas had no time to adapt. They became tragically trapped by their own extreme dietary specialization, rendering them unable to cope with the swift and profound shifts in their habitat and food availability. By the late 20th century, wild panda numbers had plummeted to dangerously low levels, below 1,000 individuals, forcing humanity to confront a critical conservation choice. China responded decisively by establishing extensive protected reserves, launching successful captive breeding programs, and initiating large-scale habitat restoration projects across key regions. This vital human intervention provided the crucial buffer of time that pandas desperately needed, achieving what the slow pace of natural evolution simply could not accomplish in time. Captive breeding programs, though artificial and controversial, became a necessary lifeline, enabling scientists to closely monitor fertility cycles and protect vulnerable newborn cubs from high mortality. These intensive breeding programs have significantly boosted global panda numbers from the brink, with over 600 in captivity today, but relying solely on captivity is not the ultimate solution. Without restoring viable wild habitats, pandas risk becoming permanently dependent on human care, forever confined rather than truly free in their natural world. Modern conservation strategies now emphasize releasing captive-bred pandas into carefully protected wild areas and creating essential forest corridors to reconnect fragmented habitats. The ultimate goal is not fostering permanent human dependence, but achieving assisted independence by minimizing disturbance while encouraging essential natural behaviors like foraging and mating. If human protection efforts were suddenly to end, bamboo forests would continue to shrink from development, habitats would fragment even further, and genetic isolation among populations would intensify dramatically. Pandas would rapidly decline once more, not because they are inherently weak or flawed, but because the modern world has changed far faster than biological evolution could ever allow. Pandas depend on humans, not as some failure of nature's design, but precisely because they are exquisite specialists perfectly tuned to a stable world that unfortunately no longer exists. Their ongoing survival serves as a powerful reminder that nature is not always as resilient as we assume. Evolution indeed has its inherent limits, and human actions carry profound long-term consequences for entire species. Ultimately, saving pandas is about deeply understanding the fragile balance of our global ecosystems and embracing our shared responsibility to protect these irreplaceable icons of biodiversity.